Hello, and thank you for tuning in again to This Week with Alex. This week I'm going to be talking about taxes. Our mill rate is one of the highest in the state. All across town I speak to residents who say, Alex, we just can't afford any more in tax increases. We'd like to buy a new car, we can afford the new car payments, but we're scared of how much the taxes on the new vehicle will be. We can't afford our homes anymore, we're barely hanging on. That's what I continue to hear as I speak to residents all across the borough. Our town budget is encompassed here. Every week the finance board goes through this budget, department by department, line item by line item. Every week the finance board makes the budget. Then they bring it to the board of mayor and burgesses and it's finally adopted after the public hearing. A lot of thought and hard work does go into this budget. But there are areas that do need to be cut in the next mayoral election. Right now, the borough has many contractual obligations that we are obligated to fund, such as payroll increases, health care benefits, and many other things. These are things that are in the contract. When new contract negotiations come up, we can change some of those things. But for now, if you don't honor a contract that you signed, you could go to court. So when I'm mayor, one of the things that I will look to do is to make sure that we aren't giving so much out in raises every year, and in the police and fire contracts to make sure that we reduce some of the minimum staffing requirements. I'm not going to put public safety at risk, and neither is anyone who I serve with. But if we don't start to reduce the minimum staffing requirements and don't start to reduce some of the overtime costs, we are going to see that people just simply aren't going to be able to afford to pay the taxes. The other big nut that we have to swallow is our wastewater treatment plant. Other municipalities throughout the state have a sewage use fee. The sewage use fee is designed as a pay-by-use system. Naugatuck currently does not have a sewage use fee. One of the things that I will look to do, and it will take a lot of studying and a lot of hard work, is to see whether we can sell the sewage plant to another municipality. Stratford is in the process of selling their sewage plant to the Greater New Haven Water Pollution Control Authority for a selling price of about $16 million. If the borough could secure that kind of price for our wastewater treatment plant, we would be able to use that money to pay off some of the bonds that the borough owes. Currently, the wastewater treatment plant costs about $6.5 million a year to run, give or take $100,000. If we were to take that number out of the budget by transferring ownership to another authority, you would see your home's mill rate go down 2 to 3 mills because you would have that out of the budget. Now, you would see a sewage use fee, but this would help people who use less water, and it would also help people on septic tanks because they would not be paying for the sewage plant that they do not get use of. Also, Naugatuck is one of 3 towns in the state that does not have a sewage use fee. So sewage use fee would not hinder business. In fact, it would bring Naugatuck up to par with what the rest of the state is doing. Some people are against the selling of the sewage plant because we have a contract with Veolia and we make money off the burning of sludge. However, this year the sludge burning is down and we're losing $1 million in revenue. The borough cannot continue to afford to lose money in revenue. We simply cannot afford to pass any more burdens on to the taxpayers of this town who are strapped. Regional services across the country work much better. In many states, county governments and regional authorities provide many services. Connecticut is dead last in business creation, and we're dead last in a lot of things. We need to start looking at what other states are doing, which is regionalization. Taxpayers in this state and in Naugatuck can no longer afford to keep doing things on our own. We do not have the industry here to support it. Now, you're probably asking, what do we do with that $16 million payout from the plant? Well, in the budget, each year we spend about $4,678,286 on debt services. If we were able to take the selling price of the plant, which could be anything, we may get $10 million, may get $16 million, or we may get $4 million, we would have to have it done research before we sold it, and we'd have to have a lot of different opinions on our selling price. But what we could do is take that money and pay off some of the bonds that we owe. By paying off bonds, we would reduce the debt service portion of the budget, which would also help to reduce the mill rate. These are just a few of the ideas that I have for lowering taxes. I hope to work with every member of the Finance Board, every Burgess, and every member of this community who is willing to partake in the discussion on how we are going to lower taxes. The discussion is not going to be easy. There's going to be things that we don't want to cut that we may have to cut. But at the end of the day, if we do not do something about our mill rate, people will not be able to afford to pay the taxes, and then there will be no money to provide any of the services. So we must do something about the taxes. We must start to regionalize, and we must start to look at our neighboring communities and come together with our neighboring towns for solutions, because all of the towns in Connecticut are starting to feel the same thing when it comes to taxes. So thank you for tuning in today, and I hope you have an awesome week.